fan, I'm sure you are just licking your chops right now and you are excited because today is the final day of 2025 NFL preseason training camp, which means the start of the season is right around the corner. But some preseason drama could have an impact on this season's lineup. Sports injury specialist David Roche joins us now with some more insight. David, fill us in. What are some of the most common injuries that flare up at the start of NFL season? Typically, it's a little bit warmer. In my experience playing soccer, I would always pull muscles in the cooler weather. Is that sort of a trend, cooler maybe trends for more injuries?
Yeah, hi Haley, how are you? Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, look, it is, I guess. I think one thing to remember when you come back from a big long preseason that they're bringing their way into, there's going to be situations, instances they're not used to. There is no match practice, if that makes sense as well. So we'll see players have two main, I think, injuries. Number one is their bodies are expected to perform at a really high level and complete really intense actions over and over and over again. And that can lead to a spike in velocity or force and muscle injuries, absolutely. But you might also see a situation as well, Haley, where players are being caught in angles and situations when they're cutting and turning that they're getting hits and collisions from now. And their body may not just be ready for that as well. And you accompany that with heat and cold, well, that's a whole different kind of kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a football player and what they put their bodies through. But I mean, when you think about preseason and let's say you're drafting fantasy, we did our fantasy draft at Fox Weather yesterday, and you see a player get hurt, let's say in the first or second game, is that time to drop them probably from your lineup, even if they are expected to come back? Does sometimes that lead to, poor performance or long-term issues?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because one thing you have to take into consideration here is the player's mindset. These players are so strong mindset. They don't understand pain. So we as clinicians, we have to make sure that their body is firing in the right way. We often ask other muscle groups to perform actions that the affected muscle or the injured muscle usually does. And in turn, that will lead to two things happening, Haley. Either one, a reduction in performance because that muscle doesn't usually work in that plane, or secondly, which you don't want, which is an injury. And when you become injured at that point of the year, you lose so much kind of impetus and momentum in the year as well. And teams can't have that, can they?
No, yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into, sports and preparing your bodies. What are some things that these athletes are doing, and maybe we could take a piece of it if, let's say, you're trying to train more or run? What are they doing to help prepare and fortify their bodies to go through this intense season?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the old kind of adage of like in the off season and preseason, we should be working on things like our previous injuries, because the number one cause of injury, would you believe, is previous injury. So, identifying early with your coaches what the previous injuries were and working on those. For example, someone like myself who's had hip flexor injuries in the past, I know before I go back to preseason with my team that I must work on my hip flexors, for example. So these players will become quite robust in the off season. And then when you get into preseason, it's very much about conditioning for the sport. It's understanding the patterns of play, how long that you're on the ball, receiving the ball, or looking for the ball, and mimic your training to that. And then when you're in season, Haley, it's important then to work on the major attributes that make you good or make you stand out as a player, whether it's sprinting, turning, receiving, throwing. In season, it's all about getting better. So they are the things that you can kind of hone in on, I think, in the in-season to make sure that if you do get injured, that you get back in the team as quickly as possible after.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think in the off-season was some of the hardest work we put in at times to make sure that our muscles were prepared. And it's that long duration, and you're not just in it for the season. You're in it for the entire year. One thing that we're tracking out, we've got the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to open the season in Philly with temperatures in the 70s and 80s. Some rain could be a problem here. What kind of injuries do you see typically with maybe more of a rainy game versus no rain in the forecast?
Yeah, again, it comes back to one of those things where when you speak about the ground being wet, it means you haven't got the same kind of connection with the ground. So your force that you put into the ground, you might be liable to slip. That means that, again, different stabilizers will have to work. So you might be in a situation where you either A, slip or won't generate as much power. And I think then what happens is you add an invariable of other players trying to get that ball from you. I think then you're looking at kind of a real mix of collision, unstable footing, and not exactly understanding where your body is in space. And that can lead to a lot of injuries. And let's not forget, you're trying to regulate and take in that environment as well, aren't you, Haley? So that is one of those things that really throws a cat amongst the pigeons, as they say.
To say the least. I mean, really, weather is the other opponent. You're not just playing one other team. The weather is really either working for you or working against you in big ways. One thing we've been asking the audience today, what is the best month for football? We said September, October, November, December. The winner right now is October. 74% of the audience thinks that's the best time to go to a football game. With your expertise, what is the best month?
I think I have to agree with you guys there. I think anywhere that's in between too much rain and too much sun, but on the cooler side, allows you to regulate your body. Because let's understand again, Eddie, that like when you are playing sport at that level, your body is peaking, there's nerves involved, the blood is rushing around. How little energy it takes you to regulate your body in between plays would make you a better player. And look, you know from playing sports as well, that when you're at your most calm and composed, that's when you pull off the pass, that's when you get over the line, and that's when you have to get the most from your body. And that's what the players and managers really want, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks so much. It was an amazing conversation. So you heard it here first from David. October is probably the best month, not only for viewers, but also for any kind of athlete. Sports injury specialist David Roche, thanks so much for your insight this morning.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it.